For the past 7 years, my husband, 43, and I, 37 female, have been trying to have children, but we've been unsuccessful as we've gone to specialists and have been assured that we cannot have children. Our hearts were broken, and since then, we've wanted nothing less than to become parents and have something to call our own. Last year, we decided to volunteer to help foster homes and help the youth and young adults struggling with homelessness. While doing this, we met our son's birth mother, Amelia, 19. She was pregnant and struggling with homelessness, and we offered to take her in, help her with maternity clothes, health care, transportation with doctor's appointments, etc. She took us up on our offer and moved in, and that's when she began telling us that her child's father wasn't in the picture and she had no way to provide for him. She didn't know what she was going to do and had no job or way of caring for him. She was 20 weeks pregnant around this time. As our bond grew, we told her our struggles with having a child of our own and that it would mean the world to us to have a child as we're financially stable and have a loving family. We offered to adopt him and have her be a sister figure to him. We told her that this was completely her decision and that we would support whatever she wanted. After a few weeks, she told us that she wanted us to adopt him once she gave birth, and we agreed to an open adoption. We thanked her, and we supported her in every way she needed, and she also had her own room in our home. Fast forward, she gave birth to our son, Aiden. I was there for the birth, and our bond was unexplainable. Shortly after, the next morning, she signed off the adoption papers and terminated her rights. We then took him home along with her. About 2 weeks after his birth, she became clingy with our son. We explained that he was ours, and she was welcome to help with him, but he was my son, and I would make all decisions regarding him. This upset her, and she felt hurt. So we ultimately decided to ask her to move out. And once the adoption was finalized, we hadn't had any contact with her. We decided to close the adoption, and we asked her not to contact us any further. His birth mother thinks I'm an idiot and accuses me of manipulating her with false pretenses. However, this is not true. Aiden is our son, and I'm his mother, so I must do what's best for him. Am I the idiot? You're not just an idiot, you're evil. How can you live with yourself? You found a young woman facing incredible obstacles, brought her into your home, groomed her to give up her child on false pretense, and then slammed the door in her face. You lied to her about access that she would have to her child. You stole that child. You deserve the absolute worst. Exactly. What OP did was straight up evil. My heart goes out to that poor girl. Poor thing probably has zero resources to reverse the adoption and nowhere safe to take the baby. It makes me so sad to think about what she must be going through. Homeless, got her baby stolen, postpartum, betrayed. Absolutely breathtaking. I agree. 2 weeks postpartum and now homeless. OP is straight up evil. It all sounds manipulative as heck. OP didn't do this for Aiden's best interest. It's often beneficial for adoptive children to be able to know their birth parents. They get the story from the horse's mouth and the reassurance that they weren't simply abandoned for the heck of it. OP did this for herself. Selfish is an understatement. Poor Aiden has parents like that. In order to close an open adoption, you must go to court. How legal is this adoption? It sounds like you took advantage of a woman who probably wouldn't have given up her child if she'd had a home or any support at all. You essentially coerced her, misled her, and then had her sign away her parental rights immediately after giving birth, all the while thinking she'd have a role in her child's life. You know she can't afford to challenge you in court. You effectively stole her child because you have money and she doesn't. I'm so angry reading this. That poor girl. He's not your son. You aren't his mother. Stop kidding yourself. You stole him. Ryan is a teen, and we live in an old house, so the locks on the door are janky. We're slowly replacing them, but due to the type of door, we need to get custom stuff or it won't work correctly. It's that or replace all the doors, and we don't have money for that, so custom locks it is. My son's door is usually locked either on accident or because he wants privacy. That's fine, and we didn't have a problem until now. I check on the kids usually before I go to bed. Sometimes his door is locked, so I just say goodnight outside the door. Last night, he had the door locked, but was playing music. It was late, so I told him to turn it down. No response. So I knocked. Nothing. I call him, and it goes to voicemail. I'm panicking at this point and think he hit his head or something. No answers to anything we do, so we take the door off the frame. He's not in the room. He came back at 4 and was at a party, so he snuck out. As punishment, his door is removed, and it'll stay off until he gets a new door in about 2 weeks. That door will have the normal doorknob lock. My husband and I agreed with this punishment, but he told his friends, and one parent kept blowing up my phone, calling me an idiot. Not to mention the argument I got into with my son. It's for 2 weeks, until his door gets here, and I need an outside opinion. I just can't remove the lock. It's built into the door. It's not going anywhere. We have to have the locksmith change out the locks. So, am I the idiot for removing my son's door? You're going to get wildly opposite verdicts, OP. Those from parents and those from younger people, I'm guessing. Because this is a specific time-limited consequence. Your son snuck out away from home, and that's not a small thing. I would say not the idiot. You're ultimately responsible for your son's safety, and at his age, I wouldn't exactly trust his ability to think out long-term consequences for actions right now. And what the heck, with some random outsider parent blowing up your phone? Very suspicious. Is it really another parent or an older ringleader? That would be my first thought. I would offer a curtain to hang in the doorway for 2 weeks. This would provide some visual privacy. Good luck, OP. Parenting a teen isn't for the faint of heart. You're still his legal guardian and have a responsibility to ensure their safety. While I don't agree with removing the door entirely, I understand this is for you until you get a replacement with a normal lock you can access also. I don't think this is unreasonable, honestly, and it should teach them a lesson about sneaking out. Also, coming home at 4 a.m. is not okay at his age. He's lucky you didn't call the police to report him missing, honestly. In most stories I see on here about parents removing doors, I feel like the parents are the idiot, but not this one. When I was that age, I got into a lot of trouble, most of which was life-threatening. I'm terrified for when my kids are old enough to get into that kind of trouble. He's mad now, but one day, he'll understand that you were trying to keep him safe. I couldn't imagine removing a door as a punishment. That's just wild to me. I get it. He snuck out, but I will promise you this. Removing his door is just escalating the issue. Hear me out. It doesn't stop him from doing other behaviors that you worry about. My advice? When you and hubby are calm, sit down with him and have an adult conversation. Yes, I know that legally he's not an adult, but let's face it, in less than 2 years, he's eligible to fight a war. He's a teen, and no door to his room is not appropriate, let alone no lock. If he continues to abuse your trust, the issue is not a locked door. Good luck. Recently, after saving up my money, I, 26 male, went out and bought myself a 2019 Ford Mustang GT. As part of the purchase, I traded in my beater, a 2005 Subaru Outlook wagon, so I could have its plate transferred. When I did all of this, I didn't tell my family, as I wanted to surprise them with it. Sadly, this led to my situation with my sister, Sarah, teen, and her friends. It started a few days ago when my parents asked me if I could drive them home from a gathering. When I showed up, instead of her being with her usual gang of friends, She was with two different girls. While Sarah and one of her friends could easily and comfortably get in, the same couldn't be said for Amy. Due to her obesity, she could only sit in the front seat, which caused two issues. The first was her thigh pressing up against the gear shift, which is a huge no-no in a manual transmission car. The second was her inability to buckle herself in, as she had no extender or anything. Because of this, in the softest way possible, I had to explain to them that I couldn't drive them anywhere. I followed this up by saying they should call Amy's mom for a ride as she drove them in. They did just that and got a ride home. However, later that day, I got angry calls from my mother and Sarah. They went on this whole spiel about how I ruined the gathering for Amy, who went home upset and crying. This was followed up by them saying that I'm a huge idiot for not telling them about the car change. Looking back, I feel as if I've done nothing wrong. I believe the blame lies with Sarah and Amy. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. If you're so large that you can't fit in a car, you need to make specific arrangements and not make assumptions. At no point was it OP's responsibility to prepare for this situation. What was the original plan? Put Amy in the trunk of the station wagon? It's unfortunate and inconvenient, but the fact that Amy is so fat that she can't fit in smaller seats can't surprise her. The first time idiots enter the story is when your sister and mother started criticizing you for failing in some mythical obligation they think you have to inform them when you change your car. Yep, she was probably embarrassed, and mom and sister decided to take that out on OP. Sounds like OP should no longer be available for rides if this is how they treat him for doing them a favor. Why should the entitled sister or her friends get any more rides when they're verbally abusive to OP for checks and notes, trying to maintain a safe driving environment? Not his fault this chick is obese. What was he supposed to do? Wreck his car because her fat was literally covering the stick shift? Seatbelt aside, not like OP could have driven the car with her in it, even if they wanted to. Long story short, I'm not exactly comfortable around women, and I do what I can to minimize my interactions with females as much as I can. It has nothing to do with capabilities or anything. I just get extremely uncomfortable. We have a new hire that's been trying to get to know people around the office better, and I just excuse myself when she comes around. Thankfully, I work in the field a lot, so I'm often alone. So it doesn't happen often, but when I do come to the office, she keeps trying to befriend or talk to me. I'm polite and civil. I say hello, and I can handle idle chit-chat, even if visibility is uncomfortable for me. She brought this up with my friend in the office, and he explained the situation. And since then, she has made it her mission to have me open up. On Friday, I asked if she could leave me alone, please, that I have no intention of becoming her friend or opening up. She lashed out and called me a misogynistic idiot. I thought about it over the weekend, and it's been racking my brain. Am I really the idiot for not wanting to put myself in uncomfortable situations if I can avoid it? If I have to take her out in the field or help explain my drafts, I'll push through since it is work-related. I still get uncomfortable, but it is what it is. I can't avoid those situations, but in general interactions, I don't think it's wrong of me to limit those when possible. On the other hand, I also understand this is a problem for me. I go to therapy, but that only does so much. This is rooted in trauma, and I'm uncomfortable writing about it. She shouldn't be punished for her own issues. So, am I the idiot? Edit. I'm in therapy, and overall I'm okay where I am in my job. Sadly, therapy's not some magic bullet capable of fixing all forms of trauma. I've been at this for years. Trust me, I used to not be able to leave my house. I've made a lot of progress, and I'm proud of it. Treating women like they're a completely different species from you is not exactly trying very hard. You need more therapy and a new therapist. You will have many female coworkers. You will have female bosses. You will never have female employees because you won't get promoted until you fix these issues you have. You're limiting yourself and alienating your coworkers. This will be noticed. Good luck. OMG, you are the idiot. Referring to women as females is what the person is talking about. It's clinical and dehumanizing, if not in a strictly medical environment. Most women have experienced trauma at the hands of men, and we still have to be polite to them. I'm mentally ill with severe anxiety, so I'm not trying to be dismissive, but you can't just treat an entire half of the world differently based on an arbitrary characteristic. Not the idiot. This guy's been going through years of therapy, even to leave the house, let alone work in a comfortable environment around women, and you're getting hung up over him using impolite terminology? I don't understand how he's the idiot for setting boundaries in the workplace. If a woman posted that she was in therapy because past experiences made her feel uncomfortable around men, you would not be so callous. That she tried and was able to be around them for work, but being friends with the man was outside her comfort zone at the moment, and she was working on it, but a man at work wouldn't leave her alone. I get so frustrated with these double standards disguised as misogyny. Everyone who has said, if he was a woman you would be okay with it, is honestly dead wrong. Like, people are seriously trying to argue that discriminating against someone in the workplace is okay, and they really think they can defend it by saying, if it was reversed. While trauma and mental health issues are tough, and most workplaces will do what they can to accommodate them, there's no allowance for, my mental trauma makes me discriminatory against a protected class, so you have to accommodate that. That wouldn't and shouldn't fly. Update. Thanks for all the replies. I'm going to talk to my boss about this, since we have to head up to New York, so we can talk about this on the drive to the airport. I don't want to bring this up to HR, because I don't want her to get reprimanded or written up over a first offense. I'll see what my boss has to say. She's a talented drafter. I don't want to lose her over this. Also, I had no idea female and women could not be used interchangeably. I'm a math and science guy. I recently found out my older sister and her boyfriend have been having trouble getting pregnant. We aren't close. The only reason I know is that she asked me if I'd be willing to carry a baby for her, as I'm the only sibling who has had successful pregnancies. One sister's too young, and the other's child-free. I said no. She didn't push it, and I didn't press for any other details. So that was the end of the conversation. More recently, we were all visiting my parents. My brother-in-law talked to me and asked about my children, so I asked in turn about their current situation. He told me they were planning on using a paid carrier abroad. I was surprised by this. My brother-in-law is an incredibly sensitive man, super conscious of social issues, vegan, eco-conscious, fundraisers for various human rights causes, etc. He isn't annoying about it, but it's a very prominent part of his personality. I asked him if he had any ethical concerns about it, assuming he knew more about it than I would. He wasn't sure what I meant, and I told him I was ignorant about it, but I heard some feminists found it wrong. The conversation fizzled out, and I thought no more about it until I got a string of furious and upset texts from my sister asking what I'd said to her boyfriend. The gist I got was that he looked into the topic himself and decided against it, and that they should adopt instead. I defended myself by saying that because of the type of person he is, he probably would have come to that conclusion on his own, regardless. And I'm sorry I had a casual chat with my brother-in-law. I've been blocked now, I think. Am I the idiot? My parents are constantly nagging me that she and I aren't closer, so I know this is going to cause issues. Not the idiot. It has major ethical issues. I'm surprised your brother-in-law didn't look into it, considering his conscientiousness in other areas. But it's not your fault he reconsidered it. If you hadn't brought it up, I would bet that someone else would have. P.S. You're correct. This will cause issues with your sister, but not your fault. Nothing you said here was rude or particularly problematic. Boyfriends would end up fielding similar questions over the course of their lives. Better he confront his views now than having regrets later on. Sounds like he really wasn't on board, but your sister was. And now that he had a chance to look into it, he would prefer another option. That's his decision, not yours. And your sister displacing her unhappiness with her relationship onto you is unfair and inappropriate. I'm very sorry that your sister is upset, and if she doesn't want to adopt, that's a legitimate conversation she should be having with her boyfriend for sure. I'd probably just stay out of it from now on, though. I have to say, I admire this man as a hopefully future parent for looking to pursue parenthood in ways that jibe with the kind of moral person he wants to be and that are responsible choices for their family.